The meeting chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as ancient Ambassador Televos rose from her seat. Her skin, pale blue with age, seemed to glow under the soft lights. 4 of her 6 eyes blinked slowly as she addressed the gathered representatives. "The motion to reconsider the quarantine of Sol system is denied," she said, her voice carrying despite its softness. "The warning stands as it has for 12,000 cycles. Earth remains classified as observation only." Commander Zarleth of the Viridian hegemony clicked his mandibles in frustration. Standing nearly 7 feet tall with his armored exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber lights, he cut an impressive figure among the council members. "With respect, Elder Televos," he said, not bothering to hide the irritation in his voice, "your consortium's protection of this primitive world has gone beyond reasonable caution. The humans have barely established a permanent presence on their own moon. They pose no threat to advanced civilizations." Televos turned all 6 eyes toward the commander. "It is not about what they are now, but what they become when challenged. The warning exists for good reason." The council session ended without resolution, as it had dozens of times before when Earth was discussed. As representatives filed out, Zarleth's second-in-command, Subcommander Vex, approached him. "Another waste of time," Vex muttered. "Our harvest quotas increase each cycle, yet they keep valuable worlds off limits." Zarleth stared out the viewport, at the glittering expanse of the galaxy. The elders have grown cautious in their old age. They see threats where none exist. "What do we do now, Commander?" A slow smile spread across Zarleth's face, revealing rows of needle-like teeth. "We follow our original plan. The Council has denied our petition, but they cannot watch every corner of the galaxy. By the time they realize what we've done, we'll present them with a successful harvest." 3 days later, aboard the Viridian command ship Inevitable Dominance, Zarleth gathered his war council. The massive holographic display in the center of the room showed a small blue planet. "Earth," he announced, "home to over 8 billion humans. Their neural pathways are remarkably compatible with our processing systems. Initial estimates suggest we could harvest at least 4 billion specimens before their primitive defense forces could mount any meaningful response." The gathered officers chittered with approval. Their neural networks, the foundation of Viridian technology, required biological processors. The more complex the brain, the more efficient the network. Human brains represented an untapped resource of tremendous value. "Our scouts report minimal orbital defenses," continued Vex, advancing the display to show Earth's satellite network. "Primitive surveillance systems, some weapons platforms with nuclear capabilities, but nothing that can detect our phase-shifted vessels." Only one officer, Fleet Tactician Zol, appeared concerned. "Commander, while I don't question our technological superiority, our intelligence on human behavior shows unusual patterns. They seem to respond to threats by becoming more aggressive rather than submissive." Zarleth waved a dismissive claw. "A primitive evolutionary response that will work against them. We've conquered 37 worlds, Tactician. This will be no different." From the shadows at the edge of the chamber, a small figure emerged. Ambassador Televos had arrived unannounced, as was her right as an elder. "You plan to violate Council directive," she stated. It wasn't a question. Zarleth straightened to his full height. "We plan to secure resources critical to the hegemony's expansion. The Council's outdated caution is holding back progress." Televos approached the hologram, her ancient eyes studying the blue planet. "We established the quarantine after observing humans for millennia. They are unique among sentient species. All species believe themselves unique, Ambassador. Not like this." She touched the hologram, expanding it to show human history. "In a mere 10,000 years, they advanced from simple tools to splitting the atom. While other species took hundreds of thousands of years for similar progress, humans did it in an evolutionary eye blink." The display showed scenes of human warfare, construction, exploration. "This acceleration isn't slowing," she continued. "They went from their first powered flight to walking on their moon in a single human lifetime. Their technological growth is exponential where others is linear." Zarleth scoffed. "Which makes them valuable processors, nothing more." Televos turned all 6 eyes toward him, her gaze intense. You misunderstand the warning, Commander. It was never about protecting them from us. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. The quarantine exists to protect the galaxy from them, she said softly. Humanity doesn't respond to threats like other species. They unify, they adapt, they overcome, and they never ever forget those who harm them. Zarleth's mandibles clicked in amusement. Your concern is noted, Ambassador. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a harvest to prepare. Televos stared at him for a long moment before turning to leave. At the chamber door, she paused. Remember my words when your easy victory turns to ash, Commander. The elders warned, do not provoke the humans. You're about to learn why. Dawn broke over the Pacific Ocean on what seemed like an ordinary Tuesday. In San Francisco, Tokyo, Sydney, and dozens of other coastal cities, millions of humans went about their morning routines, unaware that their lives were about to change forever. High above the atmosphere, 50 Viridian ships dropped their phase shifts, becoming visible for a brief moment before descending. Their sleek, chitinous hulls reflected the sunlight as they moved into position over major population centers. On the bridge of the inevitable dominance, Zarleth watched the tactical display with satisfaction. Begin the harvest. Deploy Sonic. Disruptors first to pacify resistance. Across Earth, the Viridian ships released a pulse of energy designed to render organic life unconscious. In New York, pedestrians in Times Square collapsed mid-stride. In Beijing, millions slumped at their workstations, but not everyone fell. In a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Elena Vasquez watched as reports flooded in from military installations worldwide. Her dark eyes narrowed as she processed the information on multiple screens. It's happening, she said to the room full of officers. Just as the Artemis probe discovered, they're here. A young lieutenant looked up in shock. The contingency was real? I thought the alien defense protocols were just theoretical exercises. Vasquez stood, her posture rigid with determination. Humanity has prepared for this possibility since we found that crashed scout ship in Antarctica 15 years ago. We kept it compartmentalized, but we've been developing countermeasures ever since. She turned to her communications officer. Activate Defense Protocol Omega, authorization Vasquez Delta 79er, and get me the president. As the Viridian harvesters began their descent, they failed to notice something crucial. In secure facilities around the world, human soldiers were donning experimental armor. Scientists were activating technologies reverse-engineered from that crashed scout ship. And in orbit, stealth satellites were powering up weapon systems that no public space agency had ever acknowledged. The humans had been provoked, and they were ready. Commander Zarleth stood rigid before the tactical display, his mandibles clicking rapidly, a sign of stress his officers rarely witnessed. The holographic images showed scenes that should have been impossible. Explain this, he hissed, pointing. A sharp clawed footage of a Viridian harvester falling from the sky over what humans called London. Sub-Commander Vex cycled through multiple reports. Our sonic disruptors were only partially effective. Military installations and some civilian centers appear to have shielding we didn't detect, and their counterattack capabilities are unexpected. Unexpected? Zarleth's voice rose dangerously. 17 collection vessels destroyed in 3 days is not unexpected. It is impossible. The tactical display updated, showing more red, indicators of lost Viridian ships. What had begun as a routine harvest had somehow turned into a genuine battle. The human resistance wasn't just fighting back, they were winning. Fleet Tactician Zol approached cautiously. Commander, we've analyzed debris from our destroyed vessels. The humans are using directed energy weapons based on Viridian principles. Principles they should have no knowledge of. They're adapting our own technology against us, Vex added, and improving upon it with alarming speed. Zarleth swiped a claw through the display in frustration. That's not possible. They're a pre-space civilization. Nevertheless, Zol continued, they've already matched our shield frequencies. And there's something else. We've detected unusual energy signatures in Earth orbit, ships that weren't there before. In Washington, D.C., the Global Defense Command Center buzzed with activity. Screens displayed battles unfolding across the planet and in near-Earth orbit. General Elena Vasquez moved between stations, reviewing updates from different fronts. Sydney has repelled their ground forces, reported Colonel Jackson. The reverse-engineered, shields held. Tokyo reports 3 enemy ships down. Vasquez nodded. And the Antarctic defense grid? Fully operational. It's taken down any harvester that comes within range. The aliens are avoiding that entire hemisphere now. The general's attention turned to a large central display where scientists examined an alien device. Dr. Imani Washington, head of the Adaptive Technologies Division, looked up from her work. "We've cracked their neural interface," she announced, her eyes bright with excitement, despite not having slept in 2 days. "It's meant to turn humans into living processors for their computer networks, but the design has a fundamental flaw." "Explain," Vasquez said. Washington pointed to the device's intricate circuitry. "It's designed to suppress higher brain functions while harnessing our neural pathways. But if we reverse the suppression circuit..." She made an adjustment and the device glowed with new light. "We can amplify human cognition instead. Essentially, it becomes the intelligence booster rather than a control mechanism." Vasquez's eyes widened slightly, the closest she came to showing surprise. "Field testing? Successful. Volunteer soldiers with the modified neural interface showed a 300% increase in tactical processing and problem-solving abilities. They're adapting to alien tech in real time." A communications officer interrupted. "General, Project Orbital sends word. The stealth fleet is fully engaged." On the main screen, footage appeared of sleek black ships moving against the stars. These vessels, built in secret by a coalition of nations following the Antarctic discovery, represented humanity's first true space fleet. They were crude by Viridian standards, but they carried weapons and shields based on the recovered alien technology. "Tell Admiral Chen to proceed with Operation Phalanx," Vasquez ordered. "It's time to take this fight to them." In orbit above Earth, the human stealth fleet emerged from hiding places behind satellites and space debris. Leading the formation was the UES Defiant, commanded by Admiral Marcus Chen. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his executive officer reported. Chen studied the tactical display showing the positions of the Viridian vessels. Though he had never commanded a space battle before, no human had, his mind worked through combat scenarios with extraordinary clarity. The neural interface he wore, modified by Dr. Washington's team, allowed him to process tactical information at unprecedented speeds. "They're grouping above the North Atlantic," he observed, "preparing for another harvesting attempt. They still think they're fighting a conventional war." A thin smile crossed his face. "Let's show them otherwise." The human fleet moved with surprising coordination, using Earth's magnetic field to mask their approach. The Viridians, focused on the ground resistance, detected the incoming ships too late. "Fire," Chen ordered calmly. Energy weapons lanced out from the human vessels, their frequencies precisely calibrated to bypass Viridian shields. 3 enemy ships erupted in silent explosions before the aliens could respond. On the bridge of the inevitable dominance, alarms blared as reports of orbital attacks flooded in. "Hidden fleet," Vex shouted. "How did they conceal ships from our sensors?" Zarleth stormed to the command chair. "Impossible. Their technological level doesn't allow for—" "Commander," interrupted Zol, "I'm detecting something strange about their ships. They bear similarities to Viridian design principles, but with modifications." A pause. "Sir, I believe they've had access to our technology prior to our arrival." Zarleth froze. "For how long?" "Based on their level of adaptation, years, possibly decades." The implication struck Zarleth like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just adapted quickly. They had been preparing. The Elder's warning suddenly carried new weight. "All ships, regroup at Europa base," he ordered. "We need to reassess the entire operation." Ambassador Televos stood before an emergency session of the Galactic Council, her normally serene features tense with concern. The situation has unfolded exactly as the elders predicted, she informed the gathered representatives. The Viridian forces have engaged Earth and the humans have responded with unexpected force. Counselor Drax, a massive reptilian being, leaned forward. Surely the Viridians will still prevail. Their technology is centuries beyond human capabilities. That, said Televos, is what Commander Zarleth believed. Now his fleet retreats to Europa while humans reverse engineer captured Viridian technology. She activated a holographic display showing human soldiers operating modified alien equipment. Another image showed scientists disassembling neural interfaces and rebuilding them with new components. This is why we established the quarantine, she explained. Humans don't integrate new technology, they transform it. What takes other species generations, they accomplish in months or even days when properly motivated. A murmur of concern spread through the council chamber. And now, Televos continued gravely, they know they are not alone in the universe. They know they have been attacked. The quarantine is broken, and humanity has been provoked. The consequences will extend far beyond this conflict with the Viridians. She pointed to a final image, a human space vessel pursuing a retreating Viridian ship beyond Earth's orbit. They are coming, not just to defend their world, but to ensure such a threat never reaches them again. The elders warned us all for good reason. Her ancient eyes swept across the chamber. Do not provoke the humans. Someone just did. Ambassador Televos moved silently through the grand archive chamber of the Elder Consortium. The circular room housed the collected wisdom of 100 million years, records of thousands of civilizations that had risen and fallen. She approached, a sealed section marked with ancient warnings placing her six-fingered hand on the security panel. Access historical records, Sol 3, designation Earth, she commanded. First contact assessment. Original findings. The panel glowed, recognizing her authority, and a hidden door slid open. Inside, a small chamber contained a single data terminal. As it activated, holographic images appeared. Scenes of early humans, hunting massive beasts with only crude spears, building cities, waging wars. Replay xenoanthropologist Kelmarin's final assessment, Televos requested. A recording appeared of another of her species, though clearly younger. The xenoanthropologist's voice was filled with wonder and concern. These humans are unlike any species we have encountered. Their adaptability is not merely biological, but extends to their psychology and social structures. They continuously remake themselves and their environment. While individually fragile, collectively they demonstrate remarkable resilience. Most concerning is their response to threats. Where other species evolve toward caution and stability, humans become more aggressive and innovative when challenged. They do not merely survive, they emerge stronger from conflict. My recommendation: quarantine with observation only. No contact until they achieve interstellar travel independently. Under no circumstances should they be threatened or provoked. The potential consequences are incalculable. Televos closed her eyes briefly. The assessment was from 12,000 years ago, yet it predicted exactly what was happening now. In the ice caverns beneath Europa, Commander Zarleth's remaining forces regrouped. Of his original invasion fleet, less than half remained operational. The massive chamber, carved into Jupiter's moon as a forward base months before the invasion, now served as a refuge rather than a staging area. Status report, Zarleth demanded, his voice colder than the ice surrounding them. Vex approached cautiously. 43% of our vessels remain combat capable. We've lost contact with all harvesting teams on Earth's surface. The humans have captured at least 20 neural processors intact. And the wormhole generator, our link to homeworld? Secure, Commander. We can still request reinforcements. Zarleth chittered thoughtfully. The humans have shown unexpected resistance, but they remain confined to their planet and immediate orbit. Their stolen technology gives them an advantage, but they lack experience in space combat. Tactician Zol displayed a holographic map of Earth's solar system. Our scouts report unusual activity in the asteroid belt. We believe humans may be. An alarm cut through the chamber. On the tactical display, multiple unknown signatures appeared near Jupiter's orbit. Impossible, Zarleth whispered. They couldn't have reached Jupiter so quickly. But the evidence was undeniable. A fleet of human ships, larger than the one they'd encountered in Earth orbit, approached Europa with clear purpose. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, observing the massive gas giant Jupiter through the view screen. The neural interface at his temple glowed softly, connecting him to the ship's systems and the entire human fleet surrounding him. All ships report ready, Admiral, his executive officer announced. Europa base is in range. Chen nodded. They're expecting us to attack directly. That's what they would do. A slight smile crossed his face. But we're not them. He turned to his communications officer. Signal Dr. Washington. Operation Trojan is go. Deep within Europa's ice, the Viridian sensors detected the approaching human fleet but failed to notice something much smaller. 3 stealth pods that had broken away from the main group and were heading for the moon's surface at a different angle. Each pod contained 4 human soldiers, their bodies enhanced with modified neural interfaces. These elite operators had trained for months for this precise mission. Among them was Captain Sofia Rodriguez, formerly of Earth's Special Forces, now commander of the first human interplanetary strike team. 30 seconds to touchdown, she informed her team as their pod cut through Europa's thin atmosphere. Remember, our objective is their communication array and wormhole generator. We don't need to defeat them. We just need to cut them off. In the Global Defense Command Center on Earth, General Vasquez and Dr. Washington monitored the Jupiter operation in real time, thanks to quantum entanglement communicators reverse-engineered from Viridian technology. Strike team has landed, Washington reported, watching data stream across her screen. Neural interfaces functioning at optimal levels. Their enhanced processing speed is allowing them to adapt to Europa's conditions instantly. Vasquez nodded. And the fleet? Maintaining position, keeping the Viridians' attention focused outward while the strike team infiltrates. On a separate screen, scientists continued examining alien technology. Each captured device revealed new secrets, which were immediately transmitted to production facilities worldwide. What had begun as reverse engineering was quickly becoming innovation, as human scientists not only understood the alien technology, but began improving upon it. "General," called out a young technician, "we've completed analysis of their FTL communication system. We can now intercept and decode their transmissions." Vasquez's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The screen filled with translated Viridian communications, not just from the Europa base but from across the galaxy. A picture emerged of a vast empire built on subjugated worlds, all connected by neural networks powered by harvested biological processors. "They've done this before," Vasquez said quietly. "Many times. And they'll do it again," Washington added, "unless they're stopped." On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Televos addressed the emergency session once more. The chamber had been in continuous deliberation for 3 Earth days as the human-Viridian conflict escalated. "The quarantine has failed," she stated plainly. "And now we face a new reality." Counselor Drax scoffed. "You speak as if these humans pose a threat to the entire galaxy. They are one planet against a vast civilization. A vast civilization that is now in retreat," Televos countered, displaying tactical data from Jupiter's moon. "The Viridian forward base has been compromised, their wormhole generator destroyed. Commander Zarleth's forces are now isolated in the Sol system, with no means of communication or reinforcement." Murmurs spread through the chamber as counselors processed this information. "How?" asked a crystalline being from the outer rim. "How could primitives achieve this so quickly?" Televos activated a new hologram showing humans working with modified neural interfaces. "They've turned the Viridians' greatest weapon against them. The neural technology designed to enslave humanity is instead enhancing their natural abilities. They're processing information, adapting to new environments, and innovating at speeds we've never observed in any species." She faced the council directly, all 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of grave concern among her kind. The warning was established because of what we witnessed during our first observation of Earth. We watched humans drive countless native species to extinction, not through malice but through unstoppable adaptation. They split the atom less than a century after discovering electricity. They went from primitive flight to walking on their moon in a single human lifetime. And now, they know they are not alone. They know they have been attacked. Within one orbital cycle of their planet, they have matched technology that took the Viridians 1,000 years to develop. The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. This isn't just about the Viridians anymore, Televos concluded. What happens next will affect us all. The humans aren't just fighting for survival. They're fighting to ensure this never happens again. And they won't stop at their own solar system. On the display behind her, a new image appeared. A human vessel, incorporating Viridian technology but clearly improved upon, breaking free from Jupiter's orbit and accelerating toward deep space. The Elder's warning had been ignored. Humanity had been provoked. And now the galaxy would face the consequences. Commander Zarleth stood amid the ruins of his Europa base, mandibles twitching with barely controlled rage. The human strike team had vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving destruction in their wake. The wormhole generator, his only, linked to the Viridian homeworld, lay in smoking pieces. How did they find us, he demanded of no one in particular. How did they reach Jupiter so quickly? How did they know exactly where to strike? Sub-Commander Vex approached cautiously. Commander, we've analyzed their attack pattern. The humans didn't just get lucky. They knew our base layout, security, protocols, even the location of the generator. Impossible, Zarleth hissed, unless, his eyes narrowed as a terrible possibility formed in his mind. The Antarctic scout ship, the one we lost 15 Earth years ago. Tactician Zoll nodded grimly. It seems likely they recovered more than just fragments. The ship's data core would have contained basic information about Viridian technology, possibly even star charts. And we blindly assumed they were an isolated primitive species, Zarleth said bitterly. We've been observing them, but they've been studying us as well. He turned to the tactical display where the remaining Viridian ships were shown in defensive formation around Europa. The human fleet maintained their distance, making no further aggressive moves. They're toying with us, Zarleth realized. They could attack, but instead they wait. Why? Zoll studied the sensor readings carefully. Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from several of their vessels. They appear to be scanning our ships. Scanning? For what purpose? If I had to guess, Zoll said slowly, they're gathering intelligence, learning everything they can about our technology before they... He didn't need to finish the sentence. The Viridians had done the same to countless worlds before harvesting them. The humans were using their own tactics against them. Prepare all remaining ships, Zarleth ordered. We're leaving this system. Vex looked startled. Leaving? Without completing the harvest? This operation is already a failure, Zarleth snapped. We need to warn the hegemony about what we've encountered here. These humans are not what we thought they were. And where will we go without the wormhole generator? The nearest Viridian outpost is 12 light-years away. Zarleth's expression hardened. Then we'll use conventional FTL. It will take longer, but we have no choice. We must report what we've learned before the humans can expand beyond their system. As the Viridian ships prepared to depart, none of them noticed the tiny drones attached to their hulls. Human devices, gathering data with every passing moment. Admiral Chen watched the Viridian fleet from the bridge of the UES Defiant. The neural interface at his temple glowed steadily as it fed him tactical information at speeds no unenhanced human could process. They're preparing to leave the system, his executive officer reported. Chen nodded, just as we expected. Let them think they've escaped. Tracking drones are functioning perfectly, added his science officer. We're receiving data streams from all 27 remaining Viridian vessels. Send it to Earth immediately, Chen ordered. Dr. Washington's team needs every piece of information we can gather about their FTL systems. He turned his attention to another screen. where Captain Rodriguez was delivering her mission report from the Europa operation. "The strike was completely successful, Admiral," she stated, her own neural interface glowing. "We destroyed their wormhole generator and copied their entire database before they knew we were there. The enhanced neural interfaces worked even better than expected in the field." "Casualties?" Chen asked. "None, sir. The Viridians never saw us coming. Their security systems were designed to stop conventional attacks, not enhanced humans who could process and react to information at their own speed." Chen allowed himself a small smile. "Well done, Captain. Return to the fleet. Phase 2 begins as soon as the Viridians attempt to leave the system." In the Global Defense Command Center on Earth, General Vasquez and Dr. Washington reviewed the data streaming in from the Jupiter operation. "The Viridians are preparing to leave using conventional faster-than-light travel," Washington reported. "Our tracking drones are functioning perfectly." Vasquez nodded. "And Project Horizon? Ready for deployment?" Washington brought up a holographic display showing a massive ring-shaped device under construction in Earth orbit. "The prototype jump gate will be operational within 48 hours. Based on the Viridian data we've acquired, we should be able to create a stable wormhole large enough for our ships. Destination?" Washington's eyes gleamed with excitement. "Anywhere we want." The Viridian database contained coordinates for their entire empire, 27 inhabited systems, including their homeworld. Vasquez considered this information carefully. "They attacked us without provocation, attempted to harvest our people like resources, and they've done the same to other worlds." According to their records, Washington confirmed, the Viridian hegemony has harvested sentient species from at least 37 planets, billions of individuals converted into neural processors for their network. The general's expression hardened. "Then our course is clear. We can't allow them to threaten Earth again, or continue their harvests elsewhere." She turned to her communications officer. "Contact Admiral Chen. Tell him to proceed with Phase 2 as soon as the Viridians initiate FTL, and activate all production facilities worldwide. It's time to build our fleet." Ambassador Televos stood before the Galactic Council once, more her usually serene features tense with urgency. "The Viridians are in retreat," she informed the gathered representatives. "Their invasion has failed, and the humans have not only repelled them, but have captured much of their technology." Counselor Drax leaned forward. "Then the crisis is over. The humans have defended their world, and the Viridians have learned a costly lesson." "If only it were that simple," Televos replied. "The crisis is not ending, it's evolving." She activated a holographic display showing the orbital construction around Earth. "The humans are building something, a jump gate, based on Viridian wormhole technology but already modified and improved upon." Murmurs spread through the council chamber. "Improved? In days?" asked a counselor from the Rim worlds. "That is the human factor I've been trying to explain," Televos said. "They don't just adapt, they innovate at a pace we can barely comprehend, and now they're preparing to leave their solar system." "Surely they mean only to explore," suggested another counselor. "All young species do so once they achieve FTL capability." Televos shook her head slowly. "You still don't understand what the Viridians have awakened. Humans don't just defend, they ensure threats cannot return." She switched the display to show the translated communications from Earth's military command. "They've learned about the Viridian Empire, the harvested worlds, the billions of sentient beings enslaved as neural processors, and they've decided this cannot be allowed to continue." The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. "The humans are not building an exploration fleet," Televos concluded gravely. "They're building a war fleet. The Viridians sought to harvest Earth. Now humanity intends to liberate every world the Viridians have conquered and dismantle their empire in the process." On the display, the human jump gate neared completion, its massive ring beginning to glow with energy. The elders warned, "Do not provoke the humans," Televos said softly. The Viridians ignored that warning, and now the galaxy will never be the same. The Viridian homeworld of Verid Prime bustled with activity, its cities stretching across continents, its orbital stations forming a ring of light visible from the surface. For centuries, the hegemony had expanded unchallenged, harvesting resources, both material and biological, from dozens of worlds. In the high chamber of the ruling caste, Supreme Director Calvor received disturbing news. No communication from Commander Zarleth's fleet in over 30 cycles, reported the intelligence director. The Earth operation appears to have encountered difficulties. Calvor's mandibles clicked in irritation. Impossible. Zarleth had 50 ships against a pre-FTL civilization. How could they possibly resist? Unknown, Supreme Director. Our last transmission indicated unusual resistance and adaptive capabilities among the humans. Send a follow-up fleet, Calvor ordered. Double the size of Zarleth's force. Whatever these humans have done, they cannot stand against our full might. The intelligence director hesitated. There is another matter, Supreme Director. The Elder Consortium has requested an immediate audience. Calvor stiffened. The Elders rarely involved themselves in hegemony affairs. For them to request an audience now, when a harvest operation had gone silent, could not be coincidence. Very well, he said. I will receive their emissary. Minutes later, Ambassador Televos entered the chamber, her ancient frame seeming to carry the weight of galaxies. Supreme Director, she began without formal greeting, I come with urgent warning. You must recall all forces approaching Earth immediately. Calvor's eyes narrowed. The harvest of Earth is a hegemony matter, Ambassador. The Council has no jurisdiction. This is not about jurisdiction, Televos interrupted. This is about survival. Your commander ignored our warnings and attacked Earth. Now you face consequences you cannot imagine. She activated a holographic projector, displaying images that made the Viridian leader freeze in shock. Human ships incorporating Viridian technology but with clear modifications. A massive jump gate under construction in Earth orbit. Military preparations on a planetary scale. Impossible, Calvor whispered. They're just primitives. How could they? You still don't understand, Televos said gravely. Humans are unlike any species you've encountered. They don't just adapt, they transform. What would take your engineers generations, they accomplish in days when properly motivated. She manipulated the display to show more images. Human soldiers with neural interfaces, scientists examining Viridian technology, and most disturbing of all, human ships moving through a wormhole. This recording is from 3 hours ago, she explained. They've already completed their jump gate and they know the coordinates of every world in your empire. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant as it emerged from the wormhole near Viridian Colony World 7. According to the captured database, this planet had been one of the first harvested by the hegemony, its native population reduced to processors in the Viridian neural network. Jump successful, reported his navigator. All ships accounted for. Chen nodded, studying the tactical display. The neural interface at his temple processed information at incredible speed, allowing him to see patterns in the planetary defenses. Status of the colony? Minimal defenses, Admiral. They never expected an attack this deep in their territory. We're detecting approximately 50,000 Viridian colonists and... His voice faltered. Sir, we're also detecting nearly 1 million non-Viridian life signs in some kind of containment facility. Chen's expression hardened. The Neural Processing Center. Those are the survivors of this world's native population. He turned to his communications officer. Signal the fleet. Operation Liberation begins now. On Earth, General Vasquez monitored the progress of multiple battle groups from the Global Defense Command Center. Screens showed human forces engaging Viridian outposts across 3 star systems simultaneously. Fleet Group 2 has secured Colony World 7, reported Colonel Jackson. The Neural Processing Center has been liberated. Medical teams are assessing the condition of the native population. Vasquez nodded. And the Viridian response? Minimal so far. They seem completely unprepared for attacks within their territory. Dr. Washington approached with a tablet displaying real-time data. We've integrated the improved neural interfaces into all command staff across the fleet. Our captains can now process tactical information 5 times faster than Viridian commanders, and we've already improved their shield technology by nearly 70%. What about the liberation protocols? Vasquez asked. Are we able to safely disconnect the harvested populations from the neural networks? Washington's expression turned solemn. It's complicated. Many have been connected for generations. Their bodies are alive but dependent on the system. We're developing a transition protocol, but it will take time to implement safely. Vasquez stared at the galactic map, now showing human fleet positions deep in Viridian space. Time is something we have. The Viridians are still trying to understand what's happening. They never expected to be hunted. Ambassador Televos stood, with Supreme Director Calvor as reports flooded in of human attacks across the hegemony. How is this possible? Calvor demanded. How could they reach our world so quickly? Your commander gave them everything they needed, Televos explained. Ship designs, wormhole technology, star charts, and most importantly, the motivation to use them. The display updated to show more human fleets emerging from wormholes near other Viridian worlds. They're liberating the processing centers, Calvor realized. Freeing the harvested species. Yes, Televos confirmed. Humans have a particular hatred for slavery in any form. Once they understood what your neural networks really were, your fate was sealed. Calvor's mandibles clicked rapidly, in distress. We must mobilize the defense fleet, gather all our forces to protect Verid Prime. It's already too late. Televos gestured to another alert appearing on the display. They're here. Above Verid Prime, space seemed to tear open as a massive wormhole formed. Through it came not just one human fleet, but dozens. Ships of various designs, all incorporating Viridian technology but clearly improved upon. At their center was a vessel larger than any the hegemony had ever built. The UES Vindication, humanity's first true battleship. You attacked their world, Televos said softly. Tried to harvest their people. And now they've come to ensure it never happens again. Calvor stared at the overwhelming force appearing above his homeworld. What do they want? What are their demands? They want what they always want when provoked, Televos replied. First, to eliminate the threat. Second, to understand it completely. And third, to ensure it can never threaten them or others again. She turned to face the Viridian leader directly. The elders warned for millennia, do not provoke the humans. Your commander ignored that warning, and now your entire civilization will face the consequences. On the screen, a transmission appeared from the human flagship. Admiral Chen, his neural interface glowing at his temple, spoke with quiet authority. People of Verid Prime, I am Admiral Marcus Chen of Earth. Your empire attacked our world without provocation. We have come not for conquest or revenge, but for justice. Your neural harvesting ends today. All processed individuals will be liberated. Your leadership will answer for their crimes against sentient beings. He paused, his enhanced mind calculating the exact words needed for maximum impact. Resistance is both futile and unnecessary. We do not seek your destruction, only your transformation. The era of the Viridian hegemony is over. The era of galactic cooperation begins today. As the transmission ended, Televos turned to Calvor. I suggest you accept their terms, Supreme Director. The alternative would be most unpleasant. Above Verid Prime, the human fleet took position, their improved shields glowing against the darkness of space. They had been provoked. They had adapted. And now, they had arrived to reshape the galaxy. 20 years after the Viridian surrender, the galactic landscape had transformed beyond recognition. Where once the Viridian hegemony had ruled through fear and exploitation, a new coalition of species worked together under the Galactic Cooperation Treaty. At the center of this new order stood Earth, not as a conqueror, but as a catalyst for unprecedented change. The massive space station Unity served as headquarters for the Galactic Council, its ring-shaped structure orbiting a neutral star at the borders of former Viridian space. Representatives from over 50 worlds gathered in its grand chamber, including many species liberated from the neural processing centers. Admiral Marcus Chen, now silver-haired but still commanding respect, walked through the station's observation deck. The neural interface at his temple had evolved over the years, becoming smaller and more efficient, much like humanity's role in galactic affairs. Dr. Imani Washington joined him at the viewport, her own neural interface glowing softly. As Earth's chief ambassador to the Council, she had helped shape the new galactic order. 20 years, Chen mused, looking out at the assembled ships from dozens of worlds. Sometimes I can hardly believe how far we've come. Washington nodded. From fighting for our survival to helping rebuild entire civilizations. Not bad for a species that was supposed to be harvested. The Liberation Project reports that the last neural processing center has been dismantled, Chen said. All surviving individuals have been either returned to their homeworlds or integrated into the new society. And the Viridians? Chen's expression remained neutral. Adapting surprisingly well, their new government has fully embraced the reforms. The younger generation seems genuinely horrified by their ancestors' actions. A soft chime indicated another visitor. They turned to see Ambassador Televos approaching, her ancient form supported by a hovering chair, a concession to her extreme age, now well into her 4th century. Admiral. Ambassador, she greeted them. Observing your handiwork. Chen smiled. Our shared handiwork, Ambassador. None of this would have happened without your warnings. Warnings that went unheeded, she reminded him. Until it was too late. Perhaps that was necessary, Washington suggested. The old order might have continued indefinitely otherwise. Sometimes, systems need to be shocked to evolve. Televos tilted her head, all 6 eyes blinking in thought. An interesting perspective. Very human. On Earth, General Elena Vasquez, now director of the Galactic Security Initiative, stood in the expanded Global Defense Command Center beneath the Rocky Mountains. The facility had grown from a single bunker to a vast complex coordinating Earth's defensive and humanitarian operations across dozens of star systems. Status report, she requested, still preferring direct briefings despite the neural network that could deliver information directly to her mind. Colonel Jackson, now General Jackson, brought up a holographic display of the galaxy. All peaceful. Director. The Viridian integration continues smoothly. The formerly harvested species are adjusting to their new autonomy. Even the border regions are reporting unprecedented stability. Vasquez nodded. And the Elder Consortium? They've requested a meeting next month. Apparently, they want to discuss opening their historical archives to all member species. This raised Vasquez's eyebrows. A rare show of surprise from the stoic leader. That's unprecedented. They've guarded those archives for millions of years. Yes, ma'am. Ambassador Washington believes they've been influenced by our information-sharing policies. They see the benefits of transparency. Vasquez turned to study the massive display showing Earth ships and personnel scattered across the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as peacekeepers, teachers, engineers, and medical staff. When the Viridians attacked, she said quietly, we just wanted to survive. Then we wanted justice. I never imagined we'd end up rebuilding the galactic order. It's what humans do, ma'am, Jackson replied with a smile. We fix things, even things we didn't break. In a private meeting room on Unity Station, Supreme Counselor Kelthar of the Reformed Viridian Federation sat across from Ambassador Washington. Though physically similar to his predecessors, his posture and mannerisms revealed the profound cultural changes his species had undergone. The rehabilitation centers report excellent progress, he said, reviewing data on a tablet. The last of the former ruling caste has completed their re-education. Washington nodded. That's good to hear. And the technology transition? Complete. All neural networks have been repurposed as you suggested. Communication and education only. Never control or exploitation. He set down the tablet, his expression solemn. My ancestors would not recognize our civilization now. Is that a good thing? Yes, he said without hesitation. We built an empire on the suffering of others, believing it was our right. You showed us another way, not through conquest, but through rehabilitation. It would have been easier for humans to destroy us. Washington smiled. That's not who we are. We defend ourselves vigorously when threatened, but our goal is never destruction for its own sake. A lesson the galaxy has learned well, Kelthar acknowledged. On the observation deck, Admiral Chen, Ambassador Washington, and Elder Televos watched as a new species was welcomed into the Galactic Council. The Narvani, a race of crystalline beings from a distant star system, had requested membership after observing the Coalition's peaceful expansion. Your warning should never have been, "Do not provoke the humans," Chen said to Televos as they watched the ceremony. It should have been, "Do not underestimate them." The ancient ambassador's eyes crinkled in what humans had learned was her species' version of a smile. Perhaps, though the Viridians might disagree. They underestimated not just our ability to fight, Washington added, but our capacity to forgive, to build rather than destroy. That is what makes your species truly dangerous, Televos said, surprising them both. Not your adaptability or your intelligence, impressive as those are. It's your optimism, your belief that things can always be better. Below them, representatives from dozens of worlds, including reformed Viridians, mingled in the Unity Station's Grand Hall. Species that had been enemies or predator and prey now worked together, united by common goals and the shared experience of humanity's influence. The elders observed humanity for thousands of years, Televos continued. We saw your wars, your struggles, your seemingly endless conflicts. What we failed to appreciate was your capacity for growth, for learning from mistakes rather than repeating them. She gestured to the diverse gathering below. All of this, was unimaginable 20 years ago. You didn't just defeat the Viridians, you transformed them, you transformed everyone. Chen smiled. That's the most human thing I've ever heard you say, Ambassador. As they watched the ceremony conclude, a new wormhole opened near the station, the latest of the improved jump gates that now connected the Coalition worlds. Through it came ships bearing scientists, diplomats, and ordinary citizens, all part of the unprecedented interspecies exchange program that had become the hallmark of the new order. In the end, Washington observed, provoking humanity turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to the galaxy. Televos tilted her head thoughtfully. Perhaps, though I would not recommend trying it again. The three of them laughed together, representatives of species separated by millions of years of evolution, but united by a shared vision of the future, a vision that had begun when someone ignored the warning and provoked the humans. In the vastness of space, Earth shone like a jewel, the homeworld of a species that had gone from fighting for survival to transforming the galaxy in a single generation, not through conquest but through something far more powerful, the uniquely human belief that tomorrow could always be better than today. The end.